The Funny Side of Management, Volume 2, Ethics, by Thanu, Chapter 9, Managing Greed. Greed, according to Webster, is defined as a selfish and excessive desire for more of something, such as money, than is needed. Wants is to have or feel need. Thanu states, men want to satisfy their wants. Economics deals with wants satisfaction. Wants and desires multiply. They are the indiscriminate offspring of the mind. When they are satisfied at the lowest level, more and more desires and wants manifest and demand fulfillment. This becomes greed. Thanu says, when resources are not available to satisfy greed, crooked methods are used. Suitcase culture, deep pockets management, bribery, sea governance, and executive devaluation are some of the crooked methods used in previous chapters. Crooked methods result in entrepreneurs who turn out to be thieves of society. When the tendency to satisfy greed becomes predominant, entrepreneurs adopt all means of fair and foul to muster resources. But resources cost money. Excessive borrowing is another method to acquire the resources needed. As each domino falls, the road to recovery becomes farther away. Once businesses begin borrowing money they can't repay, a chain reaction begins. The chain reaction. First, as excessive borrowing runs out of control and revenue cannot keep up with payments, loans become difficult to repay. If additional revenue cannot be generated, loans begin to go into default. This causes the banking system to fail. As loans go unpaid, banks run out of their revenue source. Expenses exceed revenue, and they are forced to shut down. As the banking system fails, the share markets suffer and crash. Prices for goods and services fall below levels that cannot be maintained. Factories close because they are no longer profitable. This leads to a rise in unemployment and economic misery. With factories mothballed, workers go without jobs. Businesses that relied on those workers also fail, and the chain reaction is amplified. Unemployment combined with failing markets and banks leads to an economic meltdown. Thanu states, recent global meltdown has its origins in human greed. Thanu may be referring to the financial crisis of 2007 to 2008, or possibly the Great Recession, or maybe companies like Enron, Tyco International, Adelphia, Peregrine, and WorldCom. Thanu states, greed is the lone culprit. Economic theory based on multiplicity of desires and wants can only offer a faulty structure with a loose foundation. This is not an economic system that is built to last. What are the priorities for human existence? If resources are cornered and wasted, how long can we survive on this type of economy? Can greed be battled? If greed is a part of human nature, how can it be stopped? Thanu does offer a solution. Controlling greed is the function of controlling your mind with the power of the intellect. If our education can achieve this in a decade, steadily we will march towards progress. A global value system to relinquish greed needs to be built. Greed should not be an engine of economic progress as it is today. If it could be reduced or eliminated, the economy would move towards a more stable environment and avoid future meltdowns. Thanu ends with, let us not salute greed as an engine of economic progress. This chapter is only 2 pages long, but Thanu is clear that greed at any level of business will eventually lead to failure. I think it would be amazing if educators could change the way people think in only 10 years. I think that this problem is rooted far too deeply for educators alone to be responsible for. But they are the long-term solution to the problem. They are critical for setting a foundation in students that make them aware and condemn greed. This would filter into the companies and governments as the years progressed. Governments, businesses, and educators, and all people need a global value system in place, a system that could eliminate greed.